Hi guys, Kelly from One with the Ocean back with Deb Merwick, ocean swimmer extraordinaire now. All right, let me just adjust this, make sure we're both in there. Okay, so we are talking to Deb about her KEV channel swim experience recently. So this is just a continuation of lessons learned and experiences that she had. We're going to jump into the big ocean swimming question right now that's usually on everybody's mind, and it was always on my mind. I wore my shirt for it. Well, you can't see it. Sharks.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got in at night and you had to swim almost 30 miles and through a channel in Sharktober.
Yeah.
And this seemed like a good idea to you. So were you thinking about them?
I thought about it before because I know it's a risk, and I know, and there's been 4 swimmers in the past 4 years that have gotten bit during the night by cookie cutter sharks.
Yeah.
So going into it, I knew it was a possibility, but they're so small and so dark, you're not really ever going to see it. So first you have to resign yourself to, are you going to take that risk? And then once you've decided, yep, I'm going to take that risk, then you just have to put that out of your mind. So from the time I got in the water, I couldn't think about it. I just didn't let my mind go there, but I knew it was a possibility. And one of the crew members was actually on crewing for a swimmer that got hit by a cookie cutter, and he told us that before he left. So I'm like, I cannot. I've already decided to swim, so there's no point of being nervous about it.
Yeah. So was there some thought into it being October? Because you swim with Steve,
at
who's
midnight,
pretty experienced, and you swim with a crew that is experienced.
Yeah.
So
it is. They do suggest that if you're going to swim the channel, then this October-November time is one of the best. So I just really had to go with the date.
Conditions-wise.
Yeah, conditions-wise, and I just had to go with the date that Steve, chose, and kind of thought, I mean, I'm taking the risk. I'm taking the risk. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, did you see any?
You did.
Yeah. Okay.
It was daylight. It was probably around 9 a.m. and the water was, it was very deep. It was probably a couple hundred feet deep.
Could you see the bottom? I assume no.
Very faintly, I could tell it was white sand. The sun was out, and we were at a feed, and I looked down, and probably 20 to 30 feet down, I saw a white tip shark. And so immediately I could tell what kind of shark it was because the white tip was so vivid on the dorsal and the fin. And it was deep, and it was curious, and it wasn't coming up, and it was interested in the shadow the boat was casting. So it started to swim. It was on port side. I could see it went under the boat. So I kind of thought, I'll tell the crew. So I said, there's a shark that's under the boat right now. And it was probably just 4 foot. About 4 foot. And then of course they asked, because they're, what kind, because that is super important. And I said it was a white tip, and they're like, okay, yep, Pacific white tip, common. And I just kind of kept an eye on it, and then it kind of swam away.
Did
and
it
then
ever
another
see
one,
you?
It wasn't interested in me.
Yeah.
It just stayed deep. And then another one came, kind of following it. Same thing. It was deep. It was curious. It was looking at the, interested in the shadow. And then it kind of followed the other one and left. And that was the only time that I told Steve. I said, there are 2 sharks down there, but the crew couldn't see it because it was under the boat.
Yeah.
And they looked and they said, you're going to be able to see a lot better than us because you have goggles and you're in the water. But at no time did it start to come up. It was just kind of cruising and just kept going.
Yeah. And did Steve see any others?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
He didn't mention it.
And did you have a plan if one approached?
I've seen boats do different things. I've seen, if sharks are following, just to kind of monitor it and see if they're following because they're curious or if they're following and aggressive. It's like being it really is like what kind of shark and what is it doing?
Yeah.
So I've seen different things where, the dinghy or a boat will try to get in between the swimmers and the sharks or try to scare it away, but not really. I was just going to take follow what the crew would do once we saw what was happening.
Yeah. Did you have any sort of prevention? I know you wore the shark bands, which is good for certain types of sharks.
Yep.
And I know that some other channel swimmers have had much stronger magnets.
Yep.
What was your decision to go with what you had?
Well, because I had a friend that had one, and it was not really heavy, and it wasn't like a long string that that the boat was going to drag. So I just thought I would, use it just to see,
Did the boat have anything?
No. Yeah.
Okay. It's, I hear so many different things from so many different swimmers about their experiences and what they use, what they don't use. So I'm always curious the why behind it and the research and
I don't even
decision.
Yeah, and I know it's just a personal preference and comfort, but I thought since I have access to it, it's not really heavy.
Yeah.
I'll just wear it just in case.
Yeah. No, those shark bands are easy to wear. Some of the other ones I've heard can shock you, but I've never had that experience with
fine.
that one.
It was fine.
Yeah. So more dangerous on your journey were the Manowar.
Oh yeah.
No box jellyfish.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the Manowar.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare.
So for those of you that may not be familiar with Manowar, here in Kailua, we generally will see them on a windy day like this, and they can wrap around you. They can have pretty long tentacles, and they can wrap around you, and it can be anything from something that feels like a little kiss to something that can burn pretty bad and be itchy for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So yours were pretty bad, right?
These are really bad. We get stung here a lot, and there are like no Manowar I've ever felt in my life. And so the bubbles were the size of large prawns, and they were floating. I didn't see them at first, but they were floating on the surface, and it was so glassy. Like once we started getting stung and we were treading water, you could see them like just sitting. But the tentacles were long. When they hit you, it felt like you're being electrocuted.
Yeah.
And then you would pull the tentacles off. They would stick to you again until you end up pulling them off and then sticking again and them wrapping. It was horrible.
So over what?
Short. So it was only
time?
So when it happened fast, and it was during the day, luckily, and I just started getting just wrapped really badly, and it was on my face, in the middle of my back, around my torso, around my legs, on top of my foot.
Yeah.
It was everywhere. So I was just trying to peel the tentacles off and just have them stay off. And then the captain said, yep, I'm gonna go a little bit ahead of you and just try to tear them
Break them up.
So the tentacles, yes, you're still gonna get stung by it, but they're not gonna wrap you.
Right.
And we could also kind of see, and he would point them out and say swim around. So I just tried to keep going once I peeled them off and kept going. But I got to a point where my legs started to lock up, and my core started to lock up. And Steve, he did get stung, but it wasn't affecting him. And I don't really have reactions to bee stings or anything like that. We get stung a lot here, nothing happens. But remember OWO swim, Cassie got hit in the face by a box jellyfish. Yeah. So the exact same thing that she was describing to me out there by Flat Island was happening to me.
Yeah.
So I did get some comfort in. I was telling myself, okay, you know this, you've seen this before. Your legs are freezing up. Yep, it's going to happen. It's happening. But I kept telling myself, like, well, Cassie never had a problem breathing, so her airway was always intact. She could always breathe, even though she had problems talking. So I told the captain, and luckily the boat is really close if I'm in trouble. It's 20 feet away. So Steve was kind of away from me. I didn't really want him near me because I knew I was probably in a big patch of them. Yeah. So he asked, do you need help? Taking him out. No. So basically I had all the tentacles off me, but I was kind of just frozen from in a seated position. Yeah. So I told the captain, I said, I'm going to hang out here. I just got to hang out here until I can swim. I got to straighten my legs. And he's like, yep, he's really mellow. So I just sat there and kind of breathed, just like sculled. And I mean, the water was warm, so I wasn't cold, but I knew I kind of just had to hang out there till I could swim. Right. So I just took some deep breaths and, had a person sitting in a boat, and that's the closest I got. I'm like, did I tell you this? I can quit.
Yeah. You can quit
I can
and it'd
quit.
be in pain on the boat,
or I can
you
sit
can keep
here,
swimming.
or I can
Yeah.
get through this and
Yeah.
just scull until I can swim.
Yeah.
So I thought, I don't want to sit on the boat and this thing. So when I could straighten my legs, kind of start straightening my legs, just kind of stretch. I just kind of did a little bit of swimming, just breathing every stroke, and I could just feel, this is probably just 20 minutes, just my stroke lengthen out.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I was back in a rhythm and a cadence that I wanted.
Yeah.
But
That's not too bad then.
it wasn't some 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But,
Did they have anything on the boat in
no.
case of emergency?
Well, I didn't know. No, I don't. Well, I don't know about like Manowar or sting things, but the one thing that they did tell me is after when I started swimming, he said you're gonna have to reapply Desitin everywhere that those Manowars hit.
'Cause it ripped it
It
off.
ripped it off.
Yeah.
So they dropped a tube, and I just reapplied anywhere I had a sting.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Good.
But yeah, that was by far the worst part of the whole swim.
And how long did they stay itchy or painful?
Painful? Well, like a week.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Yep. Hey, Michael.
Hi, Michael. You have some questions? Yeah. All right. We're going to pause and we'll be right back with Deb.